and welcome to a special Christmas edition of the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's December 20th, 2018, and this is episode 7. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the Crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started. We got a lot of movies opening up over the next few days around Christmas time. So I'll start with the film that opened up yesterday, which was Poppins Returns. It's a musical comedy. As you all know, it is a sequel to the 1964 original from the Walt Disney Studios. And I'm going to actually give a full review of it in the podcast. So more to come on Mary Poppins Returns, but it is rated PG by the Motion Picture Association for some mild thematic elements and brief action. Opening on Friday, December 21st, we got a few films. First up is Aquaman, which is the next installment in the DC Comics cinematic universe. This is from Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has been having, I think, a bit of a challenge with their DC Comics superhero live-action films. Justice League was not the big hit that I think people had anticipated, particularly Warner Brothers. Frankly, I just think the films have been dark and not that interesting. Wonder Woman was terrific. And that's been about it for my taste on these current live-action films. Be interested to see how Aquaman fares. It's been getting, I think, some decent reviews, at least from comic book fans that I've read. So we'll see. But it's directed by Australian director James Wan, and James Wan has got more of a horror film background. He directed the original Saw film, the original Insidious film, and The Conjuring. He also directed another film called a horror film called Furious 7. Kidding about the horror part, but he also is part of that Fast and Furious franchise. And so now they brought him in to direct another very CGI heavy film, which takes place, I guess, a lot of it underwater, at least according to the previews, and I would assume, given that it's Aquaman. Jason Momoa is back in the role. He played it, in Justice League. It's an origin story about Arthur Curry, who I guess that's the name of Aquaman. Again, and I'm not familiar with the comics either, so sorry about that. And he's going to go on the journey of a lifetime, one that will not only force him to face who he really is, but to discover if he is worthy of who he was born to be. Mystic, hopefully it's going to be a fun movie that particularly is going to resonate with DC Comics fans. I think the DC Comics fans deserve a good movie. So let's hope they get it. Next up is Bumblebee. And Bumblebee is an origin story in this whole Transformers film series. It's got a different director. Michael Bay is not directing it, which I think is a good thing. It's Travis Knight, who is from Laika. I mean, Travis Knight directed Kubo and the Two Strings, but he's done stop motion animation, and an interesting choice for this film. It's been getting good reviews. It's an origin story. It's set in 1987. Bumblebee, the Transformer Bumblebee, he finds refuge in a junkyard in a small California beach town, and Haley Steinfeld, who's just about to turn 18, is finding her place in the world, and she discovers Bumblebee, and he's disguised as this yellow Volkswagen Beetle But, we know that he's more than that. So, Bumblebee is rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association of America for sequences of sci-fi action and violence. Next up is a romantic comedy called Second Act. It's from SDX Entertainment. And this is starring Jennifer Lopez, a.k.a. J-Lo. And looks like just exactly the same kind of romantic comedy that J-Lo always makes. So it's, although this time they actually say this woman is 40 years old. So we'll see. But this 40-year-old woman is struggling with her unfulfilled dreams. And then she gets the chance to prove herself on Madison Avenue in New York. So who knows if that's going to be any good. I've seen the preview, and again, I thought that I had already seen this movie before. Next up is Welcome to Marwen, which is a drama from Universal Pictures. This is, they've been showing previews for this for like 6+ months. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis, and I just think Robert Zemeckis, when he's on his game, he's terrific. He's the guy who brought us Who Framed Roger Rabbit, of course, the Back to the Future movies, but then he also went down this weird rabbit hole of doing performance capture and this heavy CGI, and I think those films have been horrible. Again, people are going to come at me for this. I really hate The Polar Express. It's the most charming book, and the movie is just, I think, this thing just creepy. Don't care for the animation at all. I finally forced myself to watch his retelling of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol that starred Jim Carrey, also again in a performance capture, and it was, I just thought that was an absolutely dreadful film. And anyway, he's back at it. This film is based on a documentary called Marwen Call that was directed by a guy named Jeff Malmberg. That documentary came out in 2010, but it's based on this man who gets beaten up, and it looks like some kind of a bar fight or something, and he's in a coma for a few days, and he completely loses his memory. And so as he tries to put together his life, he creates this miniature town. It's like an art installation, and he uses dolls, and I don't know if they're like necessarily like Barbie and Ken dolls or other kind of like action figures or different things. And he does this photography project. And so this movie looks like a dramatic retelling of this guy's story, and it's assembled. It's got a great cast assembled. Steve Carell's in it, and anyway, it's not getting great reviews, and I haven't seen it yet. So you might want to ask around, see if Welcome to Marwen is going to be worth your time. Starting on Christmas Day, at least the listings that I have, and this probably is going to vary from market to market, so please check your local listings. But on Christmas Day, we've got some varied picks to add to the mix as well. There's lots of films to choose from. But on opening Christmas Day is the comedy Holmes and Watson. This is from Columbia Pictures, and this looks to me like it is a Sherlock Holmes spoof. It's starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. It's directed by Ethan Coen, E-T-A-N Coen, and there doesn't appear to be any relation to Joel and Ethan Coen of Coen Brothers fame. But who knows if this is going to be funny or not. I think they're kind of sneaking it in. It might be one of those little hidden gems that's hilarious, or it might be dreadful. So the only synopsis I found was this: the Step Brothers, again referring to a film that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly did a while back. The Step Brothers are reunited, this time playing the world's greatest consulting detective and his loyal biographer. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly star as Holmes and Watson. It's rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association of America for crude sexual material, some violence, language, and drug references. All right. Another film opening up on Christmas Day is Destroyer. This is another Nicole Kidman flick. So Nicole Kidman, she's busy. She's starring in Boy Erased, which last I checked was still in some theaters, and then Aquaman, and this one. Destroyer follows the moral and existential odyssey of an LAPD detective who, when she was a young cop, was placed undercover with the gang, and I guess some really bad stuff went down. When that leader of the gang reemerges many years later, she's got to work her way back through the remaining members and into her own history with them to finally reckon with the demons that destroyed her past. It's got a really cool cast. Sebastian Stan's in it, Bradley Whitford, Scoot McNairy. It looks really interesting and a really gritty role for Nicole Kidman. And she's such a cool actress. I'm a big Nicole Kidman fan, so I'm interested in seeing this film. It's rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America for language throughout, violence, some sexual content, and brief drug use. Next up is On the Basis of Sex. This is maybe not necessarily what you think it is from the title. It's a biopic about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it's from Focus Features. And it tells the inspiring and spirited true story that follows Ruth Bader Ginsburg when she was a young lawyer, and she teams up with her husband Marty to bring a groundbreaking case before the U.S. Court of Appeals and overturn a century of gender discrimination. This feature will premiere in line, it's saying, with Justice Ginsburg's 25th anniversary on the Supreme Court. So that's pretty cool. It looks like a good film. Felicity Jones is playing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and also, it has a new song by Kesha. So what's not to like about that? It's rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association of America for some language and suggestive content. Last film that's getting released on Christmas Day is Vice. And Vice, which is directed by Adam McKay, explores the story of Dick Cheney, as in Vice President Dick Cheney. It's basically a story about how a bureaucratic Washington insider like Cheney quietly became, quietly became the most powerful man in the world as Vice President to George W. Bush, reshaping the country and the globe in ways that we still feel today. If you've seen the trailers to this, Christian Bale plays Dick Cheney, and honestly, you really wouldn't even know it's him. It's pretty remarkable. He gained a lot of weight, and then I think they do a lot of different things with makeup and prosthetics with him. And Sam Rockwell plays George W. Bush. Steve Carell plays Donald Rumsfeld. Amy Adams plays Lynn Cheney, Dick Cheney's wife. And it looks like it's going to be a really thought-provoking, interesting piece about the Bush administration and about politics of the time. And again, maybe how they affect us, or still affecting us today, sounds like, as well. So that's Vice. And that's also from Annapurna Pictures. I'm glad to mention it's rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America for language and some violent images. So a lot of films opening up that you can choose from for over the Christmas break. We've got Mary Poppins Returns, Aquaman, Bumblebee, Second Act, Welcome to Marwen, Holmes and Watson, Destroyer, On the Basis of Sex, and Vice. For reviews this week, I just want to continue, or I guess end, the little Christmas movie series that I've been doing this month. The last Christmas movie that I'd like to talk about that I that I recently watched, and it's one that I think is terrific, is The Bishop's Wife from 1947. This is not to be confused with the 1996 remake, The Preacher's Wife, which stars Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston, and is directed by Penny Marshall, who sadly passed away this week. But so The Bishop's Wife in 1947, this film stars David Niven who is a bishop in the church, and he is troubled with funding the building of a brand new cathedral. His wife, who's played by Loretta Young, as well as their young daughter, are really strained with what's going on, since the bishop is just so focused on getting this cathedral built and getting funds raised for it, etc., and pleasing the investors and all the different things involved with it, that the family's really been neglected. So he pleads to the heavens for help, and the answer that he gets is a very charming angel shows up named Dudley, played by Cary Grant. And Cary Grant, or I guess I should say Dudley, but it's such a great role for Cary Grant. Just charms his way through this town, and he actually helps people. He helps people along the way, including Loretta Young, the wife. Dudley, though, starts getting really attracted to her, and there's some jealousy going on between the bishop and with Dudley, and Dudley. Anyway, it's a fun movie. It's set at Christmas time, so again, not necessarily a Christmas story, but the season plays a role, and Cary Grant's an angel, and all this different stuff, the things that we associate. There's ice skating, things that we associate with Christmas and with wintertime. If you haven't seen it, I think it's worth seeing. It's a really, really charming film. So that's The Bishop's Wife. As far as other two more reviews, I'd like to briefly go over. I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is that new animated film from Sony Pictures Animation, and it is terrific. It's one of the most visually interesting films I've seen in a long time, and probably one of the most visually daring films I've seen from a major animation studio in recent memory, or really maybe in any memory. It's really cool. It tells the story of Miles Morales. Miles is a spider. He's a Spider-Man. You know how comic books, and again, I'm not a reader of these, so please forgive me. I want to make sure that I do want to be accurate in my telling of this, but the storyline of Miles Morales is that he gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and so he gets spider powers. But he's got there's some interesting twists in this story. Miles Morales lives in Brooklyn. He's half Puerto Rican and half African American. His family's still alive. He's got both parents, and so there's a lot of different dynamic with Miles Morales. What they decided to do with this film was so cool, though, with the story, because they're not only telling the story of Miles Morales, but this crazy thing happens with the time and space continuum, and 5 more Spider-Mans enter the picture. Now, Peter Parker, the original Spider-Man, his character is involved in Miles Morales' universe, but I don't want to give anything away, but some stuff happens there. And then these other ones enter. There's Spider-Woman or Spider-Gwen, who's actually Gwen Stacy. You might recognize that name. Then there's Peter Porker, also known as Spider-Ham, who is a pig, a cartoon pig dressed up as Spider-Man, a talking pig. There's Penny Parker, who's like an anime Spider-Man, and she's got this really cool biomechanical suit. There's Spider-Man Noir, which is like this kind of film noir / 1940s detective looking Spider-Man. And all these different Spider-Mans come together to fight the villains. We've got Kingpin, and then there's Dr. Octopus. I tell you, there are so many characters, there are so many things going on. Easily, this film could have fallen into just being an absolutely convoluted mess. But instead, the storytelling is so strong. I think just both visually and also just with these terrific acting performances that you can follow along this incredibly crazy plot. And it makes sense, and it's exhilarating, and it's emotional, and it's really fun. And I saw it on IMAX, and I just was completely wowed. So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is highly recommended. Let me just give you a little bit more on this cast, this voice cast. So, Shamik Moore plays Miles Morales. Then Jake Johnson is playing Peter Parker. Haley Steinfeld, she's back in another movie, also in Bumblebee, but this time she's playing Gwen Stacy / Spider-Gwen / Spider-Woman. John Mulaney is playing Peter Porker / Spider-Ham. Kimoko, hopefully I'm saying that right. Kimoko Glenn is Penny Parker. Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man Noir, which is just brilliant casting, and he's so good. Liev Schreiber plays Kingpin, and Catherine Hahn is playing Dr. Octopus. So, excellent and fun. Go see it. Really cool, particularly if you like animation. It's really a knockout. So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Then, finally for reviews, I want to talk about Mary Poppins Returns. Now, we need another Mary Poppins movie like I Need a Hole in the Head. I just don't know how you beat the 1964 original. It's just one of the all-time classic movies ever, right? Disney is bound and determined to either remake or do a sequel of every one of their big films in their catalog. So I've been just trying to accept that. I don't like it. It makes me sad that here's a company with some of the most amazing creative resources available, and then all they're doing is remaking their existing catalog. However, that being said, Mary Poppins Return is actually quite a delightful film. It is a complete throwback musical to the golden age of Hollywood, to the the 50s and 60s, even the 40s. Really, it's just the type of musical that you would see from the studio system of the day, and they kept it that way. They didn't add snarky, cynical things. They weren't trying to give it some kind of modern touch or anything weird in that regard. It is just as earnest and optimistic and delightful as a film that you could possibly see. I was able to attend a presentation last month with the movie's composers. So the music score is by Mark Shaman, and the film features all new songs by Shaman and by lyricist Scott Whitman. Shaman and Whitman wrote the music to the musical version of Hairspray, and they've done some other projects, but you know, these guys are very talented songwriters, and they performed a few of the songs to this. It was just the two of them, and it was Mark Shaman at the piano, and basically he did all the singing. Women was there for commentary. He didn't do any performing, perform any of the music, but they were so. It was wonderful to hear their love of the original film, and how much they respected the Sherman Brothers, who composed the music for the original film. And they really wanted this to be a love letter to the Sherman Brothers and to the original. I felt that they honored that. And again, don't know why we need this movie, but I left feeling so happy. and again, I think part of it was because I had a bit of it was a real gift for me to be able to hear them talk about the film before I actually then saw it a few weeks later, because I think I needed a little encouragement about that this film was going to be okay. The director is Rob Marshall. Rob knows what he's doing. He directed the film adaptation of Chicago, and he also directed, not too long ago, a film adaptation of Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods that he also did for Disney. But Rob knows his stuff. The cast is terrific. Emily Blunt just owns it as Mary Poppins. One of the things I really liked about Emily Blunt's performance is that she just, not that she's playing herself, but she was not trying to be Julie Andrews. She was just playing Mary Poppins as she saw it. And I admired that. She has a decent singing voice. She's not necessarily asked to do what Julie Andrews did, but she's credible in the role, and I think she was an excellent choice. Another really brilliant casting choice was bringing in Broadway superstar Lin-Manuel Miranda. Lin-Manuel Miranda is the guy behind Hamilton and In the Heights. He's a wonderful talent and was so good in this movie. He's playing in what would be considered like the Bert role of the original, but his name is Jack, and he is a lamplighter, or a Leary as they're called, but he and his team light the lamps of London. And he's very optimistic and really a fun character, and Lynn just knows his stuff. And it was so cool that picked this project as his follow-up to Hamilton, even though he wasn't involved with the writing of the songs or anything, but just to have him on the team, hello, amazing. The cast is also really impressive. Ben Whishaw and Emily Mortimer play Jane and Michael Banks, so the Banks children have grown up. I'll get into the plot in just a bit. Meryl Streep is in it, Colin Firth, Angela Lansbury. I mean, please. You can't believe this. You can't believe this cast. So as the plot goes, and I'll keep it relatively spoiler free, but Jane and Michael Banks have grown up, and we assume that their parents have passed away. They're not in the film, and Jane's not married, but Michael got married and had 3 children, and his wife sadly died, and they've also hit on some hard financial times. Sounds like all of the UK in this particular storyline was going through a bit of a economic rough period, and so the family's in bad shape. So Mary Poppins shows up again to help the Banks family, and to save them yet again in her own special way. The story's great. Again, the acting's great. Everything about it is just really good. So again, I wish Disney would stop it, but at least if they're doing it, they are doing it as well as can be done. So I hope you go see Mary Poppins Returns, and you can just go enjoy it with your family and just go have a happy, positive experience. And I tell you, when the final number happens, it's just the most optimistic, wonderful, and magical thing. I'm quite excited to go see the film again over the holiday. For Classic Cinema Corner, just a few things to mention. If you're going to be around at home on Christmas Day, you should tune in to Turner Classic Movies, the network. They are doing comedies for Christmas, and they've got a terrific lineup all day and well into Christmas night. So they've got things like Bachelor Mother, which is a 1939 comedy with Ginger Rogers and David Niven. Highly recommended if you've never seen it and if you're into classic cinema. Fitzwilly from 1967 with Dick Van Dyke and Barbara Feldon. Then when primetime hits at 8 p.m. Eastern, holy smokes, they're playing Some Like It Hot, the 1959 brilliant comedy with Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, and Marilyn Monroe. Monkey Business from 1952. It's a screwball comedy with Cary Grant, Ginger Rogers. Again, if you've never seen it, it's highly recommended. Lover Come Back with Rock Hudson and Doris Day, one of the great romantic comedies, from the early 60s. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town from 1936, the Frank Capra directed comedy with Gary Cooper and Jean Arthur. And then ending up with classic W.C. Fields comedy, Never Give a Sucker an Even Break from 1941. So anyway, I think good for them. They're not playing anything schmaltzy. They're going for great comedies, and that could really make for some fun Christmas viewing at some point, or even just set your DVR and you can enjoy some of these great comedies over the holiday. On December 26th, the following day, TCM is going to be playing 6 films honoring the career of Burt Reynolds. As you may recall, Burt Reynolds died last September, and for whatever scheduling reason, they decided, often they'll do this when a major Hollywood star passes away, TCM will have some kind of a tribute day and play multiple films from that star. So the 6 films that they're going to be showing starting on 8 p.m. Eastern Time on December 26th. First one up is probably Burt Reynolds' best-known film, Smokey and the Bandit from 1977. They're also going to play then Deliverance from 1972, The Longest Yard from 1974, Hooper from 1978. Then, how could they not? They're playing Smokey and the Bandit 2, the sequel. It was made in 1980, and then ending up with Best Friends from 1982. So some interesting films, interesting selections honoring the career and life of Burt Reynolds. Last thing I want to mention in this classic cinema corner moment is typically I like to have a film watching project. I'll establish maybe a genre or a studio or a time period or something, and I'm going to watch a certain number of films. So for 2019, I decided to tackle 52 movies that are listed in a really great book that Turner Classic Movies published called The Essentials, 52 Must-See Movies and Why They Matter. This book was written by frequent TCM contributor Jeremy Arnold. And this book came out in 2016, and I've had it, and I don't think I've read every page, but I've studied it over and it's been a nice resource. But I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I actually watched one of these movies a week? So there's 52 films that are listed in this book, and then with 52 weeks in the year, figure that could be a good project. It starts with, and these films are listed in chronological order in the book, but it's the first film listed is Metropolis from 1927, and then ending with this is Spinal Tap from 1984. Many of these films I've seen, some of them I haven't, and still I figure with some of these classics it would be worth revisiting. I'm going to blog and or podcast about it. So on my website on moviespastandpresent.com, I've got all 52 films listed, and then I will just keep you updated as 2019 rolls along. And if you're interested, please contribute. I've got a link to get a copy of this book. It's paperback. It's reasonably priced. If it's something that you might be interested in following along as we improve our film knowledge. So my Essentials project for 2019, I'm excited about it, and thanks for your interest in, and hopefully you can follow along too and have some fun and learn some things along the way. All right, last up, recommendations. So basically, the two of the films I reviewed, I think you should go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Mary Poppins Returns. I'm hoping to see a bunch of these new movies too over the break, and so hopefully in January I can chime in a little bit and let you know what to see. Or I'll try to put information to it on my Twitter feed and different things if you want to follow along that way as well. So lots of movies to choose from, and hopefully you'll be able to have some fun either at home or at the theater. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. I'll be taking next week off, so look for the next podcast in early January. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.